Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tony Gonzalez from Made in Metal, and today we are going to interview the guitar player and singer Milan Polak, who recently released his new CD called Can't Please Everyone. Now we are going to know why the name of that CD, but first we are going to say hello. Hello Milan, how are you?
Hey there, hi Tony, thanks for having me.
This is the first time we received a CD recorded by you. However, your musical production is very wide. Even working with Falco in 2 CDs, Hathaway and Lydia, the classical musician, among others. How can a guitar player be so versatile and work for a musician with so different styles?
Well, I grew up with a lot of different music. My parents used to listen to the Beatles and to jazz music, and on Sundays to the classical orchestra. So, you know, I grew up appreciating jazz. I grew up with a lot of Bach and Mozart. And also, you know, guitar players like Al Di Meola, Paco de Lucia. When I started playing guitar, I thought, I didn't know like those guys were like, you know, some of the most amazing guitar players on the planet. I thought if you want to play guitar, you know, that's the way you have to play. And so I guess that's kind of like how I ended up, you know, like I have this virtuoso side, but I also have this songwriting thing where, you know, like I really appreciate a good song like the Beatles did.
Your new CD is called Can't Please Everyone. Was the title chosen only for this song or there is more? Maybe a statement related to something that happened to you in the past?
Well, you know, it's not like that something in particular happened. It's more like just look around, you know, look around on social media. I think everybody can relate to this. Like no matter what you do, you will always piss someone off. There's the saying, it's, you know, it's impossible to please everyone, but it's really easy to piss everyone off. And I think that, you know, it just got worse over the years with, you know, this social justice warriors and all that kind of stuff. So it's not like something particular happened to me. It's more like in general, you know, you can't please everyone. Like I say in the song, no matter what you do, there's always someone who doesn't like it. And that's basically the whole story to the song.
Something I must say, and it won't take long. With this whole society, there is something wrong. Never satisfied, never dignified, always criticize everything.
And you know, I also think that we as a society, we kind of got too spoiled at a certain point, you know, like people complain about everything. Nothing's ever fine. Nothing's ever good enough. You know, everybody thinks they're entitled to their opinion and hates everybody else who has a different opinion. Like, you know, what happened to tolerance, you know, respecting someone else's opinion, you know? So that's kind of like what I wanted to say in that song.
You are a very good guitar player and composer, and a good singer too. When did you discover that you could sing and share feelings not only with the guitars? Did you take classes to be a singer?
I always used to sing backing vocals in bands, and it happened a lot of times that after a concert, people would come to me and say like, why don't you sing lead? You sound way better than the singer. And I was always like, nah, you know, I'm a guitar player, I'm not a singer. And, you know, throughout the years, I kept looking for a singer, and I just couldn't find anybody. I mean, I'm not saying there aren't, like, there's amazing singers, you know, obviously, you know, singers that are a million times better than me, but I just never had a chance to work with them. So at a certain point, I just thought, okay, what the heck, you know, I'll give it a try. And, you know, I just started to sing, and it worked out fine for, you know, some people. For some people, I guess not. You know, again, you can't please everyone. I'm just trying to do my best. Did I take lessons? No, not like in the sense that I went to a teacher, to have one-on-one vocal lessons. But I did study the voice. I know a lot about singing techniques. And I had, let's say, the advantage that, all the theory, all the, scales and all of that, I already knew, thanks, to the guitar. And so when I started as a singer, I kind of started at like a way more mature level than when I started as a guitar player, where I basically started at nothing, zero. So that definitely helped.
By the way, Milan, now that we are talking about classes, are you a self-taught musician? Are you autodidact in guitar, or you had a school education in music?
Well, here's the thing. When I started, obviously there was no YouTube, so I had to learn the old-fashioned way. Records, tapes, ruining tape decks, trying to slow things down, or figuring out what the guitar players I liked were doing on their instruments. And luckily, I was born with a natural ear, so that definitely helped. And that's basically how I figured out how to play the guitar. And then later on, I decided I wanted to study music to understand what I was doing, like in terms of what am I doing harmonically and stuff. So I did study some counterpoint at conservatory, classical music, and I did go to a music school that where I did like more like a jazz fusion kind of thing, where I also got my diploma. And it was more like basically learning the names for what I already knew on the guitar, more or less,
So we are going to talk about different songs from the CD, songs that I consider that were really interesting. For example, For The Future Is Now, you invited Billy Sheehan and Ron Bumblefoot Talk, and the question is simple: why?
Why not? I mean, who wouldn't want to play with those guys? I mean, they're like the best musicians on the planet. Ron and I have been friends for quite some time, and we worked on a few projects together in the past, and I asked him if he wanted to trade solos with me and stuff, and he was up for it. And Billy Sheehan, I mean, come on, Billy Sheehan is like, he's God, he's a legend, and I've always dreamed of playing with Billy someday, and we've known each other for years, and we talked about it once in a while, and this time it worked out. So yeah, that's awesome. That was like one of the best experiences in my life.
Yes, you are right, but I was surprised when I saw you invited Tony Franklin, Jeff Neal, and Mysteria for Cant Let You Go. Not because of Tony, because Tony is a very famous musician. It's because the other musician and the mix of three different musicians in the same song.
So Tony Franklin is just, another amazing bass player that I've always wanted to work with ever since I heard him on the first Blue Murder album, which is such a great album. So when I wrote Can't Let You Go, I totally heard Tony on that song. And Jeff Neal and I had, started to work on some stuff last year. We were introduced by Ron Bumblefoot Fall, and I thought he was perfect, for that song. And so I asked him, and he said yeah. And Mysteria, I already knew him because we worked together, or like he asked me to play on the first Vivaldi Metal project, to do like a guest solo, and I just recorded parts for the second album that's going to come out later this year. And so he was my first choice. I mean, I wrote the song on piano, but I suck on piano. Like, there's no way my piano playing could ever end up on an album. So, you know, I asked him, and he was up for it. And that's how the song turned out, and I think it works, right? I mean, who cares who comes from where? You know? At the end of the day, does it sound right? And that's a personal, you know, taste. It works.
Another song that I liked a lot was No One Else. I felt that the first riff was a mix between loudness and acid, but maybe your idea was different. Could you tell me more about this song?
That's interesting. Now that you say that, yeah, you're right. It does have that sort of vibe. When I wrote it, I actually had more like a classic Judas Priest, you know, sound in mind. I was living in Prague at that time, and I wrote the main riff. And later on, when I finished the whole song, I was kind of like trying to take it more into like a grunge direction. And that's how the song came about.
It is not a funny question, but maybe yes. Why did you choose Milan Polak as a producer?
That's a very good question, because he really is a pain in the butt. But on the serious side, you know, I would love to work with a, you know, real producer. Producing yourself, especially the vocals, is something really, really hard, at least, you know, for me, and I don't enjoy it that much. But, you know, apart from the financial aspect, you know, like having a producer will, you know, cost money. This whole record was recorded, you know, during the COVID-19, you know, pandemic, and so it was like literally impossible to be in the same room with someone else, you know, so I kind of had to do everything myself anyway.
It was really nice to talk to you, Milan, but is there anything else you would like to say? This is your moment.
Thank you, Tony Gonzalez. It was my pleasure. Also, thanks for the great review of my album, Can't Please Everyone. Thanks to all the readers of Made in Metal. And yeah, I hope you get a chance to check out my new album, Can't Please Everyone, and I hope you like it. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can always do so by looking me up on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. And I'd love to hear from you. Thanks, and bye.
Thank you very much for your time and answering the interview, Milan. I really appreciate that. Bye-bye. It was Tony Gonzalez from Made in Metal talking to Milan Polak, who recently released, I recommended a lot, his new CD, Can't Please Everyone. So now we know why that name. And please, as usual, I will invite you to subscribe to our channel. Made in Metal is Made in Metal. I am Tony Gonzalez. Bye-bye.